All right, so everybody's
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
everybody's iPhone probably clicked over to 5:30. So, thank you everybody for being here today. Eli, is the sound okay? So, thanks for everybody being here today. It's in the time frame of COVID, where we have to do these things a little differently than we normally do. Typically, we'd probably have this down in the community services building filled up. Today, and maybe the new normal is both virtually and live. So, want to thank everybody for coming here today. My name is Frank Lucchino. I'm your city manager here in 29 Palms. We also have some staff members here too. I just want to introduce Travis Clark, Cindy Viescas, we have Christina Benton and Eli Marshall. I think that's all the staff that is here today. Again, thank you for being here today. Both in person and virtually. The council, on behalf of the council, they also want to thank you for being here. They wanted to get this information, and the old proverbial saying of sausage making is difficult, and it's not a pleasant process. Well, either is making policy, and that's why we're here today. Is there has been a policy in place since 2015, but the council is really looking for input from you, from the citizens, from the business owners and community of how it's working over the past 5 years. So that is why we're here today. Council is looking to see and to hear what your comments are, and what your recommendations are of potential actions in the future. Today will be recorded. Ms. Viescas, our city clerk, will be recording all the comments. It will be recorded, and then meeting minutes with summaries will be also given to the council so they could see your comments here today. So I just want to let everybody know that will be going forward. And today, there won't be any decision-making today. Today is only comments and recommendations. That will then be brought to the council at a future meeting, probably in January. We only have 2 meetings left this calendar year, so it'll probably be in January for their potential action. So just a little brief background before we get to the comments. Mr. Clark, if you could put on the screen here. So this is our current permitting process. We have 4 steps within our permitting process. We don't limit the amount of vacation home rentals in the community. You have to go through this process. It is safety, make sure your septic tank is in perfect working order. You have to have insurance. Then you also have to have your sign in the front. So if there is a problem, there is a contact that the individual can remedy, or contact them to remedy the situation. Also, too, the next slide gives a visual representation of currently we have, I think, 80, I think it's 80, 90 vacation home rentals. And this is geographically where they are spread out through the community. The staff in the regulatory approval process annually in renewal timeframe, they look to see from code enforcement and from the sheriff's department of any complaints or violations, and there has been little to no complaints during the process over the past 5 years. From a statistics perspective, as mentioned, we have 90. 45% of those are owned by a local person. So 45% of the 90 are owned by a local person. Just a little bit more perspective. We have 90 vacation home rentals. In the city of 29 Palms, we have 5,830 single-family residents. And the reason it's single-family residents I talk about is that's all you could have a vacation home in. You can't have it in a duplex, a triplex, etc. It's only a single-family home. So we have 90 out of an inventory of 5,800. It's about 2%. So the current inventory is about 2%. Staff did do an inventory of vacation home rentals in Morongo Valley, Pioneer Town, Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree, Wonder Valley, and Desert Heights was combined due to the zip code. And we have the least amount of vacation home rentals in comparison to those communities. There is a remedy from staff. If there is issues with the vacation home rentals, there's penalties. there's suspension of licenses, there's revocation of that permit, and they will not renew that permit too if there are issues. So there is remedies in the current policy, and I think to this day, no action has been taken. Finally speaking, and this is a tough decision from council and the community, and I understand that. There's two sides of it. There's an economic side and there's our quality of life side. And that's all your comments tonight will be given to the council for their ultimate policy decision. But again, just another piece of perspective, the city received this past year, 12 months, a little over $278,000 in TOT tax from vacation home rentals. So we're going to move now into the comment period, just a couple ground rules relating to the comment period. 3 minutes, we'll have the timer on, 3-minute comment, just like a council meeting. There won't be any back and forth, so if X person makes a comment online or publicly, there's no rebuttal. We want, this is not a time to debate this meeting. Again, the council is looking for your comments and your recommendations, but there won't be back and forth. If you do have a question within your comment that I can answer, I will respond to that. Then finally, for those who are online, if you see the little feature, I think it's in your right-hand side, it may be different on per the screen, you'll see a raising your hand. So if you click that button to raise your hand, we'll call upon you as the queue expands. So with that, we'll get started. I think, how many people do we have online currently?
Currently 27.
27. So we'll start online since we have more online people than here. We'll kind of just go back and forth. So anybody online want to make a comment that their hand is raised?
We have Rick and Diane Capelli.
Okay.
They're on mute on their own. We don't mute themselves.
We'll work through this technology.
3 minutes is too less.
That's the typical time frame. You could also, and actually, a lot of folks made public comment in writing as well. If you made comments in writing, and I have several of those will also be forwarded to the council in their consideration.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can I talk now, or?
Yes, please.
I'm calling about the house that's across the street from us, and it's a 69023 Altaloma in Indian Cove, and continual parties all the time, although the past month has been quiet. I don't know why, but there was a party there about a month and a half ago, and the Hispanic music was just blasting till after midnight, and the big party in the backyard because they have a built-in pool with a diving board and all that, and it's just continual parties. I'm not sure if the owner even knows how many people stay in that house when he Airbnbs it out. There's parties all the time, and this is a very quiet neighborhood. And he even leaves, he has a trash can and 2 recycle cans, and he leaves them completely piled up in the street all week long until the trash comes, and then he doesn't even take the cans in. They just sit out there all the time. I guess he had to take them in last week because of the winds blew them down the street, and he had to go get them. And I just feel sorry for the motels because it seems like they're going to shut down because of the Airbnbs, and this place is going to become a ghost town. I'm not sure if anybody's aware of that, but they're only 50% capacity because I've talked to a few of them that I know. And one more thing. I don't like calling the cops because it seems like that's a nuisance to them. By the time they get out here, then the guests are already in bed, and I just don't want to bother the cops for a noise complaint like that. And so that's why I have never called, and I've never gotten, last time I talked to code enforcement before he retired, it was last spring, I believe, he said that they didn't even have a permit to be an Airbnb, and they were applying for one, and we never got a letter. I'm just wondering why we never got a letter to okay it, which we wouldn't have done. I'm what?
3 minutes.
I'm done. The 3 minutes is up.
Okay, thank you. So how many do we have online?
There's 29 now online, but
Oh.
no one else has their hand raised.
Okay, so we'll do another one online, then we'll come back here at live.
There's no one else with their hand.
Oh, no one with their hands up? So, okay, we want to do somebody here live?
We have Aaron Kyle.
Okay.
Good evening. Thanks so much for having this. I'm really worried about our city and about the future that our children are going to have here. Vacation home rentals is a fantastic vehicle for the infrastructure that we need, for jobs. My wife alone lost $70,000 income due to COVID-19 because she wasn't able to go out and clean vacation home rentals. Okay, it was devastating. The statistics in our town, I'm just gonna round them up. It's about 80% of our town makes right around $40,000 or less. Right now, kids are in school. Parent has to stay at home. They're losing all their income for that. Vacation home rentals and the TOT tax that comes with it. Employs people, helps people, will help our town stay prosperous and grow. We don't have to grow to be some sprawling giant metropolis. But if we raised our TOT up to the state average and paid for extra law enforcement officers, and actually the ancillary benefits of it are amazing. We're not capitalizing on the vacation home rentals like we should in order to bring in more dollars from outside the area, from visiting the national park and whatnot. And I think that if we over-regulate it based on fear, and I love the Capellis and known them my whole life. However, call the police. We have code enforcement. We have laws on the books for a reason. And if you're personally choosing not to call the police, then you make it impossible for us to do anything about it. That being said, I'm all for having a cap. We need to have a certain amount of housing available long-term versus short-term. 80% of our town are investment properties. I hope people understand what that means. That means 80% of the town are tenants. And in the investment real estate market's a really giant driving market in our city. These folks that are coming in and buying homes and making them vacation home rentals are raising property values, they're cleaning up their neighborhoods, they're doing a really good thing, they're employing local people, and we should impinge that as minimally as possible. If we use the money generated from vacation home rentals in a more wise way, and maybe had a cap of like, I don't know, 7 to 10% of the housing in our area, it seems like that's a fairly healthy number, and that's a number that's being used across communities in California right now. That it would all even out, and there's very few sheriff calls. There was very few code enforcement calls. We have good codes. Thank you very much. You all have a great day.
Thanks, Aaron. Anybody else online? Eli, Christina, that are raising their hand?
They're asking questions, I'm trying to work through that. No one has their hand up.
Okay, we'll come back inside here.
Alan Teets, is that correct?
Mask is falling apart, so I apologize about that. Thanks for having us, or thanks for having me. Just want to say I'm here to support the vacation home rentals. I have 2 on Indian Cove myself. I take a lot of care and a lot of pride in making sure that they're clean, making sure that the people are screened, making sure that the people that rent the place are going to treat it with respect, and they're going to be respectful to the neighbors. So I have a lot of support, or I support the Airbnb community, because we have, as vacation home owners, we have that opportunity to look out after each other. So that's all I wanted to say. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Mhm.
Anybody online
Yeah,
yet?
we have a couple
Okay, let's, we'll go online for a couple people, then come back inside here.
Can you spell it, Eli?
Yes, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic, thank you so much. I just wanted to say, I have had a vacation home rental. I'm an owner of one here at 29 Palms, where I spend over half my time, so I rent it out the other half the time. And I just wanted to commend the staff, the financial staff at the city of 29 Palms. I think they've done a fantastic job of keeping things organized, respond to questions. I have some associates in other jurisdictions, and they talk about some complications and over-regulations, and I always say, oh my gosh, 29 Palms is just fantastic to work with. They, it's regulated and you're certified, but it's not like too much. And I just also wanted to say that, the money that I have gained from the house, I looked at all the receipts for the last couple of years, most of it has gone to local businesses, local hardware stores, electricians, and contractors, and right back into the community, in addition, of course, to the TOT tax that's collected. So I just wanted to voice my support for vacation home rentals. I'm really glad you're taking the opportunity to refine any process that need to be, but just wanted to lend my support, and thanks again to the city for being so cooperative.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Sure.
Aldridge?
Hi there, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Heidi Aldridge. I own an Airbnb in the Indian Cove neighborhood. I am a local. My husband and I manage the property ourselves. We live within a mile of the property, and I do support Airbnbs, and I really just want to echo what a couple of other people already said. The process that the city currently has in place, from the inspections to making sure septic is good, and just really dealing with the city, and I think Shelley in particular is who I dealt with when I got my permit. You guys really do a tremendous job of making sure those of us who want to abide by the policies that you already have in place, they're just implemented really well. And I would just echo someone else's comment that there's a sign in my front yard with my phone number on it, and if I have guests in that house who are being disruptive, I don't care what time it is, I want someone to call me. I'd rather that you call me than the police, but, if I have guests who are disrespecting my house and my neighborhood, I sure as heck want to know about it. And that's it. I think the city does a really great job of overseeing the Airbnbs that we currently have in place. Thank you.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Frank, do you want to take another online? Okay. So another one in here.
Oh, here, and
Yeah,
here, I apologize.
yeah.
Okay. Mary Jane Bingy.
Good evening. I have Airbnbs, and I would just like to say that on my listing is no parties. And that's the reason for the signs and the phone numbers, is that if somebody is partying, call the owner, so the owner can come take care of their own property. It's not allowed on my properties. Although I do have mine on, a couple of them on acreage, so they really shouldn't be bothering anybody. But the economic benefits to having Airbnbs, number one, you've got your taxes that go to the city. You've got folks coming into town that use, gas, groceries, go out to dinner. We put recommendations. When people check in, we recommend different restaurants, places to go. So the money they're spending in our town, you've got to take that into consideration, what they're bringing to the community. Not only that, but some of these people fall in love with the area and they're coming in and buying houses. They want to come have second homes here, which I think, is tremendous. On my Airbnb site, I've got, right now, 1,500 people that have gone to my site. That's free advertising for the city of 29 Palms. They're checking out the Airbnb site, so if I've got 1,500, how many do other people have? To me, it's a win-win. And I would hate to see the town start putting any more heavy restrictions than you already have on the Airbnbs. The people are coming into town, they're buying up a lot of our houses that have just been let go for years and years and years, fixing them up, bringing property values up. I really hope that you don't cut out the Airbnb situation. Thank you.
And one thing I failed to do, and we're working on it as we speak, we're going to have a little questionnaire, and it's not ready yet. I think we're printing them out. So for the people online and the people here, we're going to ask a series of 3 questions. One is, just so we know who the people are speaking, are you a resident or non-resident? Okay, so I think that'll be an important piece for the council to understand. Your point of view, is your point of view a VHR, a hotelier, a general business person, or just a citizen of the community? Then finally, the final question will be is, do you want status quo, so no change in the policy? Do you want more regulations, or do you want to eliminate VHRs completely? So those are some of the questions that we're going to ask to kind of bring back, so we have some data sets to bring back to the council as well, in addition to your comments. Not ready yet, but that'll be coming here shortly. Anybody online?
Well, Ash is trying to get connected, but
So no one yet? So maybe we'll go here live again and see.
Jennifer Ruggiero.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm
Yeah.
short. I'm going to read from my letter, but I will eliminate certain parts. The current VHR code does not include limits on percentages and location of VHRs in 29 Palms. For example, there are approximately 8 permitted VHRs in Indian Code, 29 Palms, with 3 VHRs located within a 2-block radius, Ivanpah, Oldale, and Pine Spring Avenue. According to the current VHR code, a home could easily become surrounded by VHRs. The community was not notified about the VHR application permit for 68965 Oldale Road, 29 Palms. The VHR was operating without a permit for over a year before the VHR was approved without community input. There have been numerous complaints regarding VHRs in 29 Palms, especially in the neighborhood of Indian Cove, south of Highway 62. There are 2 problem VHRs in Indian Cove, one located in Indian Cove Avenue and one on Altaloma Permit 100. Both VHRs continue to be a problem with weekday and weekend parties, people loitering on the street after 11 p.m., noise, and increased traffic. Residents complain a lot on social media, but rarely report problems to the city or the sheriff, stating that the city doesn't care. Indian Cove south of Highway 62 is a densely populated area. Sound travels fast, and noise resonates throughout the community coming from badly managed VHRs. And I'd like to stop and say thank you to all the responsible VHR owners. I appreciate you. Short-term vacation rentals are known to create some short-term vacation rentals are known to create a high degree of nuisance in neighborhoods that are zoned as residential. Our quiet community does not need an overabundance of VHRs adding to the growing problem of privacy that negatively impacts our quality of life. We need to look at the big picture and create a strategy that prevents our neighborhoods from becoming VHR zones. I encourage members of the City Council to focus on the quality of life for homeowners and residents, not the dollar amount generated by VHRs. There are alternatives. We are not against VHRs. I need to make that very clear. Not against. We are for limitations. Some of the limitations that I personally would like to see are: 1, vacation home rentals are fixed at 5% of the detached single-family residential dwellings. 2, not more than 2 vacation home rentals allowed within a 4-block radius. 3, the City of 29 Palms set up a VHR hotline for complaints. Keep an updated database of all complaints and publish all complaints on the city website. 4, vacation home rentals shall be no less than 250 feet from any other vacation home rental. 5, permits will not be renewed if 2 or more complaints regarding the operation of a vacation home rental are filed. 6, a moratorium on issuing new VHR licenses until the issue of limitations has been decided and code modified. Thank you.
Thank you. One person online? Okay. Okay.
Ash, you're on mute.
She can't figure it out. All right, maybe while we're waiting for her to figure it out, we'll maybe go live.
Jim Cruchet?
Yeah, Jim Cruchet, I'm a resident of 29 Palms, and I know that vacation home rentals became a fact of life. That was a popular way for people to vacation and travel, and that was gonna happen. I think that 29 Palms, the city of 29 Palms, and I've reiterated this before, was way ahead of the game when they put a regulation, an ordinance in place back in 2015. It's a fair and reasonable ordinance. I mean, a lot of people, if you start a vacation home rental, there's a lot of hoops you have to go through for you to do it. I realize people have had issues with VHRs, and there is an avenue in the regulation for you to address that. Now, maybe through an area of education, we can have the people understand that, but I don't see that being utilized as much as it could. And as far as limiting VHRs, I think that economics, supply and demand will take care of that. If a place gets too saturated with VHRs, a lot of people go back to long-term rental. In the area I live in, I had 4 VHRs around my property. Now, I live in a rural living area, 2.5 acres are each of the lots. One of them, he went back to long-term rental because he just wasn't renting it. And I think that would be the effect in the town. I think that it's gonna naturally balance itself. We don't have to go to 9% or 10%. And I wouldn't like to tell somebody that, oh, this one individual, you can have a VHR, but you can't. So I don't think we should be limiting on that case. If there's an issue with them, if the neighbors have an issue, there is an avenue for revoking an individual's license, and I think that needs to be utilized first. We have a good regulation. It's been working. I don't think there's a need to change it at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody online ready? No?
Yeah, if I could
Sure.
just say something. About 9 months ago, the city purchased some software that actually helped us find the VHRs that were operating without a permit. So before that, it was very difficult for the city to know when that was happening. We're a small department in community development. But this software continuously scans the web, looks at all the different sites, Airbnb, VRBO, and it checks against our own database of addresses to see who is permitted and who is not. So the one that was mentioned on Alto Loma, that's how we found out. It was through this software that they were advertising and doing so without a permit. And so when that happens, we cite them right away, either cease or come in and start the VHR permit process. So it's been very effective software.
Thank you. Anybody online? They muted?
Lily?
You said Lily?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Lily.
Hi. I also have an Airbnb, and I think what you guys did with the permit process is right, and that everything is safe and for the environment and for the people, and I think that's very good. But I would also hope that there's not more regulations, because I feel like it brings so many interested people to the community, and I don't think
somebody said she feels bad for the motels. I don't think it's a competition. It's not the same people that would go to an Airbnb or to a motel. It's a different clientele. I also don't allow parties on my property. I live on the property, so first I would notice right away. I would assume that there are some places where, especially when you have a pool, where it disturbs the neighbors, and that's very sad, and I hope that can be regulated within the community, the neighbors, and not through more regulations for everybody, because it's such a big place, 29 Palms, and people really enjoy getting to know the area. They enjoy the restaurants, they enjoy the culture, the nature, and I would really hate to have to go back and not be welcoming people. I think for me, it's very enriching to meet all these people, and a lot of them come back and get invested in the community. I think we're doing the right thing right now, the way it is.
Okay, thank you. So Eli, maybe now is the time we could do a little survey. We'll continue public comment. It may be a good time to do a little survey. Those questions that I mentioned, I'm going to pass them out here. Eli, if you could also put those.
Can I ask that? I have a question from one person who doesn't want to comment, Cindy Bernard. Is asking if you break down the permit distribution by neighborhood, says the map is impossible to read.
Put that as part of the permit.
You want to continue with another online person while I do the poll?
Sure, yeah, please.
Heather Message,
Hi, yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are, Heather.
Great, hi, I'm Heather Vescent, and I was in that room 5 to 6 years ago having a conversation with the planning department and the city council, rewriting the regulations that you guys had, and writing the new regulations and having these conversations back then about the positive impact I believed that vacation home rentals would have on 29 Palms. My day job is researching, at that time was researching new economic models. I'm just down the road in my geodesic dome, and I have to tell you, I'm really enjoying listening to everyone's comments, hearing about how the positive impact of these regulations. I really think that 29 Palms was an innovator and very had a lot of foresight to put these regulations together, and I'm very proud I was part of doing that, because I look at the problems that Joshua Tree has and Yucca Valley and some of the other unincorporated areas have, and I'm so grateful that we put together a set of enforceable rules. I think that, that was the key learning that I had from the process of going through and writing the regulations in the first place, was understanding that while I would be, and most of us would be responsible vacation home rental owners, that we needed to have enforceable rules and regulations for those rare individuals that took advantage of the situation, and that we needed to be able to enforce the, and make those folks comply or revoke their permits. And so it sounds to me like there's an opportunity for us to do some reflection and understand maybe where these types of vacation home rentals are decreasing the positivity of our desert community, because for the most part, I see a really positive impact on it. And to really understand if there's a way we can gently, educate those non-compliant vacation home rental owners, or a way for us to revoke their permits so that they don't ruin it for everyone. That's really the whole point of the regulations, is to allow those of us that want to do a great job, that want to host, that want to invite people into our wonderful desert community. I've since moved out here full time, and encourage more people to do that. And then give us a set of rules so that we don't have to accept bad behavior. We don't have to accept owners that won't comply with us. And so I just want to say thank you and kudos to the city of 29 Palms 5 years ago for taking a chance. I know there was a lot of controversy at that time. I believe we made the right choice at that time, and I believe that we will also make the right choice moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. And so, are we ready for the poll now?
I have the poll going.
Okay, good. So I know that everybody live here, you have if you could put your name on there as well. Again, we want to make sure that the comments and the data are accurate when we present it to the council. So when you complete it, if you could put your name on there too, please. So should we take, as people online are taking the poll, maybe go live here?
Let me try again with that.
Okay.
Ash?
Travis, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, Ash.
Okay. I just wanted to add to say that the ordinance is very well written by the city of 29 Palms. When this entire thing started about 8 years ago, a lot of the community members was invited, just like what we're doing right now, to give their suggestions about the ordinance, and as well as hoteliers and members of the community and owners as well. And at that time, I was not for it, but I sat on that committee and helped to write it out as well. And I can't say anything that was missed out that would be against the community or against the hoteliers. That's my first point. The second point is to put a cap on vacation rentals at this point would not be a wise idea, as it is a new business for the city of 29 Palms. We have aggressive competition with us. In Joshua Tree itself, we have 1,000 vacation home rentals, as well as in Yucca Valley. The city of 29 Palms only has 92, with no major reasons to have a cap right now. That being said, I mean, there's no major complaints that vacation rentals are badly ran by the investors or the homeowners. And also vacation rentals is providing a great new business income for the city of 29 Palms as well right now. Those are my 2 points.
Okay,
Thank you. Anybody else online? No? Anybody here live do you have anybody else that turned in?
Michael Tosh, is it?
I have a lot to say, so I'm going to read from my letter as well. I'm going to be speaking in support of the imposition of limitations on VHRs, specifically in Indian Cove, but also and/or the city of 29 Palms generally. Before outlining these proposals, I would first briefly address the arguments raised against limitations. Many opponents of limiting the number of VHRs feel that any such restriction is an infringement on their personal freedoms. This is known as the I own it, I can do with it what I want argument. This is manifestly false. It is true that ownership of a thing carries with it what is termed a bundle of rights. It's also true, however, that what one does with his or her property negatively impacts the ownership rights of another, that bundle begins to unravel. Opponents also frequently put forward the assertion that statutory restrictions are unnecessary because economics will limit the number of VHRs. This is known as the let the market take care of it argument. Proponents of that argument need only look to Joshua Tree, a community less than half the size of 29 Palms, where an unregulated market has resulted in an onslaught of more than 1,000 VHRs. Social media platforms are full of complaints from full-time, often long-time residents lamenting the changes VHRs have wrought on their community and the loss of tranquility and serenity which caused them to settle in Joshua Tree to begin with. Many, if not most, of the speakers at this public meeting will cite the improvements made to a particular property or the blemish-free etiquette of their particular VHR guests as reasons to oppose the imposition of limits. Property improvements and well-mannered behavior are all to the good, but ultimately beside the point. No matter what improvements a particular VHR licensee may undertake, and no matter how impeccably their renters may comport themselves, VHRs can negatively impact what makes a neighborhood of a city a neighborhood. Neighbors look out for neighbors in a way transients can't. It is in this and similar respects that VHRs can tear at the social fabric of the neighborhood, even when a particular VHR hasn't undergone improvements or isn't being used as a party house. The very character of a single-family residential neighborhood is susceptible to disruption by what I consider commercial enterprises. I suspect, however, that property improvements and exemplary guest conduct aren't the primary reasons there's opposition to limitations. A superior motivation, as I see it, is money. Realtors make money on the purchase and sale of potential short-term rental properties. Investors earn money on the bookings they make, and the city makes money in the form of an occupancy tax and presumably taxes on tourist purchases. I don't begrudge, is that for me?
Yeah, if you could just wrap it up, please.
Okay, in conclusion, I just want to say that I'm not such a great fan of the regulations as everybody else seems to be. I think that they were written by a Realtor Trade Association or some organization affiliated with realtors, and I believe they require an extensive overview. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody online that,
Jack Herkel, E-R-K-E-L.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Jack.
Great. I'm a resident, a part-time resident and a vacation rental owner, and I've had 3 guests in the last 3 months that loved it so much in 29 Palms that they bought really distressed houses, fixed them up, and moved to the city. So, I feel like it's really put the town on the map and brought a lot of revenue and travel to the city. And also, a point that I think is worth noting, for me as a homeowner, I'd actually rather have a bad vacation rental guest come and go because they leave, but I've had bad neighbors that are there and they're there forever. So for me, it's, obviously I don't want everything to be a vacation rental, but, it's a double-edged sword. But I'm pretty sure that for me, the 2-day minimum really weeds out people looking just to party, and I have a really in-depth kind of vetting process where I question people because I don't want people to disrespect my house. I don't want people to disrespect the neighborhood. And I can honestly say like 99% of people are really great. And, if 1 in 100 comes through and they're not the best, but it's pretty rare. So, I fell in love with the town. I came out because I rented an Airbnb there, and that's what got me in love with the 29 Palms. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Anybody else online? No? Anybody live?
Vino Nathraj.
Thank you. My name is Vino Nathraj. I'm a local resident and a business owner for over 2 decades in the city of 29 Palms. I have the following concerns in regards to short-term rental, and I'd like those concerns to be addressed. City of 29 Palms is most likely in violation of the state mandate affordable housing requirements. One of the reasons for shortage is conversion of affordable housing to short-term rental. This may jeopardize the present and future state grants needed to do public works, which is more important to us. Homeless is on the rise in 29 Palms. What is the city doing to make housing more affordable? Out here in California, we have the Housing Community Development that oversees all the inventory. And may I suggest that the city set aside a session to go ahead and discuss the housing in the city and also invite the HCD to join the meeting. There are a few cases where the STR is a problem in our neighborhoods, parties and noises. And this is just a start of our bigger problem. Short-term renters are known to create a certain degree of nuisance in the neighborhoods that are zoned for the same residents. Therefore, Cathedral City leaders on this in September 10th, 2020 voted to phase out short-term rental. City of 29 Palms should be aware that most of the currently approved STR are not primary residents. This may fall in a gray area for the city to happen to enforce the ADA regulations. I would like to know what actions the city staff is going ahead and taking in regards to ADA compliance, life and safety. Fire sprinklers are very important. There are over 640 hotel rooms in the city of 29 Palms that are running around 50% occupancy. This indicates that the property zone, that the properly zoned 29 Palms hotel market has enough capacity to capture the short-term rental TOT if that is the city's concern. Most STR renters, including myself, I have been a short-term rental guy, we do our own cooking, and probably 90% of us will do our purchases in the cities where we live in. They do not contribute to the local, economy, while all the hotel guests are known to patronize local restaurants, bars, grocery stores, bowling alleys. I would like to see that a moratorium be put on any further issues of this permits until we can do this proper study. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vino, you bring up the housing. Actually, we're in the process of updating our housing element, so there will be some discussions about housing in the early part of next year.
Thank you.
Anybody online?
I just have a question. She hasn't responded to that. The speakers from Anna Snow.
Okay.
How have long-term rent increased? Has homelessness increased? Those are two questions.
You know, I can't answer the question about the increase of rentals, you know. The homelessness, we do an annual count each and every year, and we're pretty consistent, right around 29-ish, you know, homeless, so it's nothing monumental moving. Anything else online? No, is there anything, anybody who hasn't turned in something to speak? And if you could, after you're done, if you could fill out a card just to say your name and. Were they out back? There's cards out back.
Hello, my name's Ashton, and you know, I feel really passionate about this because I feel like this is the future of the city. To be scared of short-term rentals in theory is a problem because it's not real. To have a specific houses that are a problem that can be addressed, that can always be fixed, that can always be addressed. And that's what happens when you have these permits. But people are not going to Holiday Inns to visit 29 Palms. People are going to Holiday Inns for overflow, for housing, for the military base, and for other, you know, inexpensive reasons, which is great. But if we want this town to have vibrant restaurants, a vibrant community, things that people are spending money on, people moving to town that want to add interesting things, coffee shops, and add to the community, we need great short-term rentals. We need great hotel rooms, not just the economy sector. And if we cut that short, they are going to go to other places. So when you look across downtown and you see all the empty buildings, all the empty storefronts, plan on those being empty if you don't invite people to town, if you don't have a place for people to go that, you know, have money to spend, that are excited about the park and the beautiful city and adding to the, you know, eco tourism that our city has. And I think that's the gist.
Okay, thank you. And there's some forms in the back, Ashton, if you could just complete, please. Thank you. Anybody else online? No? Anybody here live that hasn't spoke that would like to speak? Nobody else online? So I'll give everybody a last chance online before we kind of wrap it up. Hopefully everybody's kind of completed those data points. You still have an opportunity to submit comments, electronically, which I know a lot of folks have. Again, the council meeting will be in January, where they consider all these comments to potentially, I think they'll have 3 options that potentially they will look at, maybe others. More regulations, status quo, or eliminating the policy completely. I think, there's probably a variety of other things that they can consider, but that will be in January. Anything else online? Okay. So with that, it sounds like everybody has, I'm sorry? Oh yeah, if you could, before you leave, turn in those forms again so we could have that data set. And I'd like to thank everybody both online and here in person for spending your evening with us. Thank you.